Hello, folks. Welcome to another special edition of Social Media News Live. This is going to be a fun one because today it's just us and your questions. So we are going to do this AMA. We kind of structured a little different. We're going to be talking a lot about AI tools, content hacks, what we kind of do here, what Connor does over there, all the cool stuff. So we want to make this show, once again, all about you. So ask your questions of us, or this is going to be a very short show. We've got some great things that we're going to talk about because I've been to some conferences, I've learned a couple things that I have been kind of implementing in my workflow. I know Connor's always on the cutting edge of all things in marketing, so we'll be talking about that. But we want to take your questions, and so if you think if we're getting on a topic that you like, then make sure you call your friends into the show. Just mention them wherever you're watching from. Connor Brown, how's things in Florida?
Things are great. It's getting hot. But that's okay because I'd rather it be hot than cold. That's who I am.
Well, yeah, I agree. I grew up in Kansas. Don't miss that. Yeah. It was. I don't miss scraping my windshield in the winter. That just with a cassette tape. You know what? A cassette tape was what we used to listen to music on, Connor. It was really cool. Yeah, you put it in there and it would get all messed up, and you'd have to take a pencil. And yeah,
oh wow,
it's pretty amazing.
So like Scotch tape. That's interesting.
Scotch tape. Yeah, that's interesting. So, so hot. When does it cool off in Florida? Because I've got some gigs coming up in Florida, and I just do I go to the parks and bake, or do I wait until when's the good time?
You mean like time of day or just
like season? Like when you I know you kind of stay away the parks in the summer because it's just blistering hot and it's crazy town. So when do you like to go? Like when does the season okay, now I can go back kind of a thing?
Yeah. I mean, I always say, I go there all the time because I'm a sicko, but I'd say the first couple of weeks in November is when it starts to get nice, right? I think especially in December, January, February, that's the best time because it's so cold elsewhere. At least you might have fall and you appreciate it in October and stuff. So you don't really want to escape that. But first couple of weeks in November, all the way through until about March, I'd say that's our 6 months where we get to do nice stuff. Right. April and May, they're great in the mornings and late at night.
It's a little warm. Yeah.
I think it's a little warm. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, before we start this AMA about AI and content hacks, I'm going to say hi to our friends in the chat. We've got our friend Dustin Stout from Magi. I'm sure we'll talk about him today because we're going to be talking about some AI tools. We've got my friend Ralph saying, ready to learn today. Glad to be here, my friends. Ralph, we are so glad that you are here as well. And Dustin says 88 degrees today in our neck of the woods. It's going to be 90 here in Texas. Yeah. So, it's going to be interesting. Yeah, and it is at Kansas, Toto. That's right. If you grew up in Kansas, you had to watch that show all the time. And by the way, I love the new musical Wicked. And my daughter saying December was the best time we ever had in Disney. That's because we went to the special. Everybody gets kicked out of the park. Yes, and we
very Merry Christmas party.
Yes, it was very cool. It was very magical. So I'm going to go ahead get started with the show. I'm going to go ahead and go on the podcast machine, and we will get started. Hello, folks. Welcome to Social Media News Live. I'm Jeff C., and you're not.
And I'm Connor Brown, and this is the show that keeps you up to date on what's happening in the world of social media and more.
You ever stared at your content calendar and wish for a shortcut to fresh ideas? Do you feel like AI might be sprinting ahead while you're still tying your laces? Or maybe you're itching for someone to really break down repurposing so you can spend less time editing and more time creating. If that sounds familiar to you, you're in exactly where you need to be today, because Connor and I are going to flip the script a little bit and are putting ourselves in the hot seat for a no-holds-barred AMA. We're going to share our real-world tactics that keeps this show humming, swap stories from the trenches, and tackle your toughest questions live. So sit back, clear your schedule, clear your mind, to get ready for this week's episode of Social Media News Live. Connor, my friend, how are you doing today?
I'm great, and we should really switch it from an AMA to an AUA. Ask us anything.
Yes.
Yeah. Please ask your questions, or like Jeff said, this is going to be a very short show.
But we do have some things to talk about, and I have questions for you, Connor. By the way, Connor, before we get into the show, I want to do a shout out to our friends over at Ecamm You can find out more about them at ecamm.com/Jeff. Use code Jeff15 to save 15% on your first purchase. But wait, there's more. We've got something amazing happening next week. Yes, I am going to be speaking at their Leap Into Video live event. I'm going to be talking about repurposing, roadmap, some of the stuff we're going to be talking about today, and also the AI tools I use to do that. You can go there for free and sign up. Look at all these people. It's not just me. It's people who are way smarter than I am. We got Lori Petrucci. We got Renee Ritchie from YouTube. Liz Wilcox. We have Phil Palin, who was here last week. So we've got so many great people. You want to go. It's next week starting on the 20th. Totally free. You can actually sign up right here at leap.ecamm.com. So go to ecamm.com/Jeff, buy Ecamm, and then go to leap.ecamm.com and learn all the cool ways that you can use Ecamm when you're jumping into video production. But it's going to be a great event. They have it, I think, every year for the last 3 or 4 years, and it's amazing. So leap.ecamm.com, go over there and check it out. So I guess before we even get started, Connor, with our AI tools that we're going to talk about, Ralph has a great question to kick us off. So I want to know what you think, Connor, when we get going. So question, do you think that AI is going to ruin content creation? What are your thoughts on that, Connor?
I think bad AI-generated content is going to be bad AI-generated content, right? So I think the good stuff is really going to be elevated, and it's really going to stand out. I think that the algorithms are smarter than we think, right? So I think, again, if these platforms, especially social media platforms, want to keep us on the platform, they're going to have to serve us good content. And what's not going to keep any of us on the platform is bad AI created content. I think it's going to be very easy to create bad AI created content, but I don't think it's going to be gain as much traction as something like this, Jeff, which you always talk about. This is why you do the live show, because AI can't do this, can't come up with those delightful little phrases you have.
It's usually me mangling whatever thing I'm trying to say. That's just what it comes up with. But one of the things that I think of, Ralph, this is a great question. I think there's going to be what I like to call a lot of AI vomit out there, where people really want to click that easy button. And I get it. It's stuff that has, for example, podcast show notes. I don't know anybody who goes, yes, I can't wait to write podcast show notes, right? There's so many tools now that have sped this up, which has allowed me to save times to do things that are more creative, help me stand out. I think it's just like anything else. The more people try to press that easy button and not put any work into it, yes, there's going to be a lot of crap that's going to be out there. Some crap floats to the top, but all crap eventually ends up being flushed, right? So I think it's going to be some time that, you're going to see all this stuff and you're like, how can I compete in this sea of things? The important thing, I think, is to find out where you can stand out. If you can do a live show, a podcast, those are things that don't have to deal with the algorithm. I really think those things are going to be more and more important for companies and people just getting discovered is doing those types of things, because I just think the written word, just doing the social media posts, it's going to be really, really hard to stand out in that. So I know Ralph, he does a daily show, which is something that most people won't even touch. So that's making him stand out. Dustin is creating great content inside of his community for Magi. He's doing a great job inside of there. So I think these people who are going above and beyond and are not content to, just, okay, generate me this social post, generate this. There's always going to be those kind of people, but I just think we have to think more strategic on how to do that. A great book that I just read is Mark Schaefer's Audacity book. It's really cool. He's got a QR code in the cover, and it changes the cover when you do stuff. But he makes some points of just, being present and posting things. That's just table stakes. How are we going to stand out is going to be important.
Yeah, I think so. And I think especially with AI overviews or as we use AI in lieu of Google, right? We've seen SEO get really impacted lately, not just from whatever Google algorithm is running, but from people going to Perplexity, ChatGPT, even Claude, and asking their questions there first, these places are surfacing social content as a result, and they're using that to give their generative
Mhm.
results, things like that. A simple, text-based post that's really just garbage is not going to surface, right?
Right,
But a
right.
well thought out, crafted post where you're showing your expertise, which is what Google is liking right now,
Mhm.
you personally showing how you've done something or how it's impacted you, that's what's going to come to the top. But something like all crap eventually gets flushed. That's not going to be AI created. That's only Jeff C. That's
That's
Jeff C AI right
That's
there.
right, and it's nobody wants that. But I want to bring up some more questions or comments from Troublemaker. Says this: AI speeds up content creation, and it can also critique our content to allow us to hone in on what we should be
Yeah.
doing only better and faster. Which is a really great point, and Phil talked about it last week on the show. One of the things that I think gets overlooked, we're kind of using it as marketers just to crank out posts, just kind of doing those kind of things. And the best way to use AI right now for me is combining and analyzing data. And I'm not a big dashboard kind of guy, Google
Yeah.
Analytics, but taking things that you've already created them and putting them up against something else and have AI do some deep research and come up with a new idea. Connor's in a mastermind that I'm a part of as Paul Gowder and some other people. And we like to drop prompts in there where we're kind of like, hey, this is kind of a new one where it can actually dig in a little bit deeper about your business and give you some ideas on creating maybe a new sort of content or some actual, like a download or something like that. So, yeah, I agree that it really does help speed up your the things that you want to do that help you stand out. It can do some of those tasks that we really don't like to do.
I think that's what bogged us down for so long in social media creation too. It was we just were trying to churn out as much as possible and see what was sticking, and that's also an easy way to burn out when you're
Mm-hmm.
constantly doing that and you're not seeing success. But AI, these kind of tools, especially for data ingestion. Jeff, you've mentioned it here, but you've been loving the deep research stuff, right? Because it's super beneficial and it helps us focus on what we need to be focusing on. Because
Mm-hmm.
one thing that AI can't do is create more hours in the day, but it can surely help us with the hours that we do have available.
Yeah, and one of you guys who have followed me or are on my email list. Oh, by the way, if you want to get my email, you can go to jeffc.com/news. Great community there. I love it when people we're able to talk back and forth. But one of the things that I've talked about was, with this AI stuff, we talked about combining things, all those different things. One of the most important things I think we can do as creators is to be social, like respond to those things with email, all those different things. So I really encourage you guys to, yes, use AI for a way that, can speed up the workflow, but also analyze some of that data that you get as well. There's a couple, this is a great thing from Dustin. He says, I heard someone say yesterday who was looked at by some as an expert that they don't believe in prompt engineering, which translates to I generate AI
Yeah.
garbage all day long. One of the things, and this is from Andy Cresadina, who I saw speak at Social Media Marketing World, what he has done, and I don't know why I hadn't thought of this before, but he actually asked ChatGPT or whatever model you're using to help him create great prompts. And so what I've been doing, especially for when something I want to do deep research on, is I'll say, hey, I'm going to want to do deep research on this. Help me create the perfect post, the perfect prompt to do that with. And it has been amazing, like really detailed, helps me think through things, but then it goes and does that deep research and gives me such a better output than what I would have done by just trying to kind of finagle it. The other thing I think Dustin would agree with this too is that as these models change, your prompting strategy has to as well. I have a database, and I'm sure you do too, Connor, with a notepad of like your favorite prompts. Well, you got to revise those too because the models change.
And I think a big thing that Phil talked about last week was the conversational prompt, which is working really, really well right now. Not only for the LLM that you're using to understand what you want, but for you to understand what you need to ask it too. So I think when ChatGPT first started, we would just put in a question. We just put in that one question and it would spit out an answer. And so many people left because, to what Dustin was talking about, they didn't know how to prompt engineer, right? They didn't know they had to add context. You had to ask it follow-ups, all those things. Now with this kind of new strategy of, hey, here's what I'm thinking, don't take action. And then it responds to you and says, okay, I understand this. And it asks you a question. It continues to engineer the prompt so it can craft it perfectly. So when you do say, okay, now's the time to take action, you get a much better response. And again, it goes all back to that saving time, those sorts of things. I'd rather spend a couple of minutes talking back and forth with the model than just giving it something and trying to rework the response that it's given. Because one thing that I do hate right now is when it doesn't do something correctly. And I'm like, oh my God, how are we going to fix this? And I'm like, could you go back and could you edit this and this and this? But then it's like that adage of when you're training a puppy and a puppy, has an accident in the house, 9 times out of 10, it's your fault because you didn't take it, you didn't train it, you didn't give it its tools and resources. So you can only be mad at yourself.
Yeah. Ralph has another great comment. He goes, my big concern is even with the content creation, even when we allow it to polish it for us, I'm worried about the bias that I'm already seeing in the results it gives me. Just very odd at times. I think it's going to be constantly evolving, this type of thing. There are some ways that you can write prompts where I read a great Reddit thread about this, is really forcing it to go back, poke holes in your idea, your arguments. Don't just be a kind of a yes, sir, this is a great idea kind of thing, a way to kind of craft that so you don't get those results. But I think it's going to be a thing that, Ralph, that we're going to constantly have to change our prompting strategies as the models change. I mean, there's just from the image side, which is where I kind of like to live. I use all of it, but I really kind of hone in on how to do image generation. And there's, even when Midjourney comes out with a new model, you have to learn how to prompt again. Mm-hmm. And the same way with Midjourney is different from ideogram versus the new ChatGPT model. So there's all, and there's even from Claude to, ChatGPT, there's these different ways to kind of craft things. So it depends on the model. Gemini, I don't use Gemini a ton, but I know a lot of people use that a lot. So there's all these little subtle differences, and I think there always are going to be those as the models kind of change.
It's going to be a lot like every time someone decides to go with a new to-do list, right? Like a new project mapping software. They're like, this is going to be the game changer, right? Then you have to learn that whole new system. Mm-hmm. It's the same thing when you're, jumping from LLM to LLM. Certain ones do something very, very, very well, but you have to know you can't kind of try to fit your into the new LLM that you're trying out that day.
Yeah, good point. One of the things that I would love to know what you think about this kind of thing, that Descript just launched them. There's a bunch of other models that do this, but Jim says, I am not a fan of people using video avatars and trying to pass them off as themselves. We don't need a Creator News Live where Jeff and Connor are avatars. Yeah, I kind of felt that way with Descript when they came out with the new. What do you think about AI avatars right now, Connor?
I mean, I don't like them. I don't know if I ever will. Like, I know it's a newer thing, right? So the early adopters, the early, views that you're seeing, it's always going to be at its worst, right? But I don't know. There's just something off about it. There's just something
uncanny valley.
Trickstery about it too, right? Mm-hmm. I think that the big, I would guess, con that people always have against AI is, it's going to make us lazier, right? And I think it could, right? But I don't think AI should ever prevent us from working. I think we should always be working, and creating and those sorts of things, because I feel like that's how you're most fulfilled and put on this earth for. So I think that is almost like a way to just not work at all, right? Just say, here it is, go for it. I don't think it's going to go anywhere, but for now it's just, it ain't right. It doesn't sit right with me.
So I think, and it's really weird that Descript did it, because it's more of like a cartoon kind of a thing if you test them. And I'm like, where do I want to use that at? And right now, I think it's kind of a gimmicky kind of thing. But I mean, I've seen some really good ones on YouTube. There's some like YouTube channels that are all just avatars. And I think and Jim, I'd love to know what you think about this, and Connor as well. Anybody who's watching, I think for YouTube, if I'm just wanting to go and find out content, like I want to fix my toilet. How do I fix my toilet? Right? Like, it's not flushing. I don't care if it's an AI avatar or not, if I get the information to solve my problem. So I can see some of those YouTube channels having a purpose, because if you're a better writer and you can really write clear, concise instructions, and you're providing a service for a certain thing, I can see that happening. I don't know. Am I wrong? What do you say about that? That's the only use case I can see right now.
I get that, and almost like if you want to have like an off-camera channel, right? Where you're like, you know what? I really don't want people knowing it's me. I just want to build something and have that get it. I think and I've talked about it on the show before, the classic clip of Zuckerberg when he was on, I think it was Good Morning America or CBS This Morning, and they're just sitting in the round table, like in their avatars, and they're like, what is this? He's like, this is it. These are the avatars. You're like, what? The great thing about Skype starting and then FaceTime and now what we have today with Zoom and live video is that we're able to connect with people around the world face, right? Mm-hmm. Now it seems to be like going in the other direction where it's like, oh, we're going to connect with everyone, but we're not going to show our faces and stuff like that. And I feel like, oh, well, why don't we just get on a phone call then?
Yeah. Yeah. So we got some more great comments. Chris Stone says, Jeff once on Dealcasters talked about kissing his aunt's soggy mustache. No LLM is delving. Thank you for that. Is delving that game changer phrase. Yeah, I get it. And then a tech troublemaker says, drop a video link in Google AI Studio and ask it to tell you what you did right and what you did wrong. Scary good. Ooh, I have not tried that. That is something that I'm going to have to do that, because I actually uploaded my presentation to Social Media Marketing World because I'm going to kind of use that as a base for other speeches that I'm doing across the country, and like for CEX that's coming up. And I was like, okay, how can I make this better? Because I felt like, okay, this is a time that kind of, how can I keep the energy up and all that stuff? And it does a really, really good job. So, or whatever. So, Connor, are you seeing, I know you work for a big marketing SEO agency. Have you noticed any like hits from like Perplexity or AI searches that you've been noticing? Because it's kind of changing that SEO market.
There's definitely a drop in organic traffic just overall, right? And it's because of AIOs. It's because of people using Perplexity and these other LLMs to find those answers. The interesting thing, though, is there's a lot of research being done that there might be fewer clicks coming from search results, right? But the clicks that are coming from AIOs, from Perplexities, they're fewer, but they're converting on your website at a higher rate. So it's almost like it's weeding out the people that just want an answer from the people that want an answer, but also want the solution, a product, a service, something like that, right? So I think maybe we might over the next few years realize that a lot of the clicks that were coming to our websites were vanity clicks, right? Just people looking for the answer, and then they move on from that. One thing I will stress to people is if you do have a robust or even any like reporting in GA4, Google Analytics 4, you can just, again, Google this, but how to add AI traffic to your reporting. You can add it as a traffic source, and it'll add in ChatGPT, Perplexity, Microsoft Copilot, and a couple other ones, Claude probably. So you can see which LLMs are actually driving traffic to your website. So I would say start building those reports so you can kind of see what's going on.
Yeah, I mentioned Andy Crestodina. I don't, me and names, but
not great.
Yeah, and if you have a chance you need to follow him on LinkedIn and also check him out. He does such a great presentation. But one of the things he was saying that got me really thinking, and I actually told Abby about it, was that we have now access to the internet and what works. And he says using that you have now this SEO kind of tool that you've never had before, being able to write copy the better way, having to analyze it for you, where these big tools, these really expensive tools you had to use before, and now you can get most of that with just using ChatGPT to go and analyze your content. So that's really, really cool. But mostly Disney said, I used your tip about having ChatGPT find me interview questions that had never been asked. Only used one, but what they came up with was pretty cool. Listen, folks, I'm glad that you used that, Chad, because I think we did it. I did it for this show. Like, I went in and had it go watch like the last 8 to 10 YouTube videos that Connor and I did. I said, go look and read the comments from people, find out the questions that they want, help us organize an AMA show, help me make the graphic for it. All that stuff I can do now kind of in one workflow, which has been amazing. But so that's a great way to do it. I think as content creators, if you're a YouTuber, if you're putting out content, being able to take those pieces of content and then create things from them by analyzing things is going to be kind of the next thing that we're going to be talking about. For example, I've got this Leap event coming up on Thursday is when I'm speaking. I have taken all the episodes that we've done. I did it. I think we almost have 5 years of episodes, and I just got the podcasting ones and the live video kind of content, like the Dealcasters were in there, some other people, and I said, okay, analyze this. Help me write an ebook for live video and podcasting that I can give away as a lead magnet. Boom! It gives me a plan. It gives me places where I need to interject my commentary. It is amazing, and it's based on my content, so it's mine. But being able to play with it and ask it questions and bounce things off of it is very, very, very cool as a content creator.
I think the number one tool for content creators for getting the most out of AI is something probably you might not think, but it's transcriptions. Like, I think that is the number one tool right now. Phil was talking about it last week, and the more and more I think about it before that interview and now, it's your voice. It's the quickest thing in the world. It's a lot, right? We talk really quick, more quickly than how we write, so we can give it a lot of information about us, about what we're about, our services, our tone, our voice. But also we have all of it, and because all of these tools now have it built in, it's ubiquitous, right? You can get it from Zoom. You can get it from Google Meet. You can get it when you upload it to something like Descript. You can get it when you upload it to YouTube and get that one that they do. Remember back in the day, Jeff, and when I say back in the day, I mean like 3 years ago, where we had to pay Rev for $1 per minute. And we're like, whoa. Anytime anyone offered a suggestion of like, here's how you do this, you get a transcription, I would immediately be like, I'm out. It's like the recipe. Hey, here's what you do. Also, you have to buy this $300 food processor in order to do it. I'm like, I'm out. I'm out. But now transcriptions are so easy to come across. They're free most of the time, or built into the tools we're already using. It's the number one thing that can help us create content and help these AI and LLMs help us create content too.
Yeah. And if you wanted to have it right in your tone, then upload your transcripts and have it like focus on what you're saying and how you say things. I mean, there's so many cool things that you can do. I love Lex.page, which actually ties into ConvertKit. We can read all your subject lines and analyze those and it's just so cool, the things that we're able to do now. So I was going to ask you, Connor, so I know you have this new YouTube channel, not YouTube channel. Maybe a YouTube channel. Is it a YouTube channel? Instagram. What is it? Drunk Disney? I can't remember what it's called. It's my
God, come on, man. It's Theme Park Happy Hour.
Okay.
Please.
But do you use, when you go in and create content, are you using that to come up with ideas, or do you go back and transcribe it? What's your kind of process for the happy hour thing?
So that stuff is relatively new. So I think as I start to do more of it, I want to have AI help me generate new content, not by generating ideas necessarily, but by helping me determine what worked, right? I think I do a lot of conversion rate optimization and A/B testing, right, on websites and things like that. The number one thing when it comes to optimizations and A/B testing is you test one thing, right?
Right.
You change one thing here on the B version, you change one thing. That way, you can basically say with the utmost certainty that that one change dictated X percentage in whatever
Mhm.
you're trying to track, right? It's when you start to change 5 things where you're like, well, shoot, I don't know which of those 5 things actually led to the increase in clicks or conversions or whatever it is. I think AI can really help with that by saying maybe we just test a bunch of stuff from post to post to post to post. We don't have to just do one different headline or one different style or one different frame that we lead with. We can just test a bunch of stuff and then give it to AI and say, why did these things work well? Why did these ones not work well? What can I take and learn to build new content? How would you structure new content?
Mm.
Um, I think, AI is great for generating like ideas for posts and things like that. I still think the best kinds of posts come from when you're just walking around, when
Right.
inspiration
Yeah.
strikes, right? Those are the best ways to get ideas. But AI can help you in how you're going to create the content that caters to that idea so that you're not just putting a good idea into the wind, the algorithm doesn't pick it up.
So I want to go back because a couple of weeks ago we had Allie talking about tiny offers,
Yeah.
and I want to go back to your A/B thing because she said that you test things and then you kind of reiterate and get it honed in on the way you want. So when you're talking about changing just one thing, can you run and do you run different variations simultaneously, or do you run like, okay, I'm changing the title here to here, I'm going to let it run for a week, and then I'm going to try changing the image, let it run for a week, or do you set up multiple things and going like, here's me testing the title, here's me testing the the image, and here's me testing like the caption or whatever. So how do you usually do that when you're running those A/B tests?
So I'll say so many, industry experts or whatever, when they talk about these things, they talk about the massive websites that they work on, right? In reality, solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, content creators, we don't have that kind of audience, right? We're not getting that kind of traffic. Those kind of traffic numbers is what really can help you with the like standard deviations, right? And
Mm-hmm.
you need a lot of traffic in order to say with certainty this worked, right? Those places, like in Netflix, like
Right,
sometimes
right.
I like opening up an incognito window and being like, what are they testing today? They have an unlimited amount of traffic that they can test, right? Because of that, they can have an A version running against a B version, running against a C, D, E, right? All those versions. For us, because we probably don't get that amount of traffic, I really think it's good to do an A version and a B version of one thing. It can be one section, it can be one headline, those sorts of things. But because it's going to take a while to actually get to a, you know, standard error kind of thing where
Right.
we can say, this is right, this is working. It's really great to just test one thing. Take a big swing with it, make it completely different. But it really, I think it's A and B, just because you're not going to split traffic 3 ways. That'll take even longer for your test to be proven accurate.
That is great, helpful advice because I know a lot of people struggle with even
Yeah.
Facebook ads being able to do that. They're like,
Oh,
okay, I can do all these all at once, but like your point you made, it doesn't matter because their traffic's small. So I think that's a good thing. So I want to talk about this really quick from Chris from Cast Ahead. He goes, take out the M dashes, never works for some reason. When he's talking to his Patrick had a post going like, listen, I use these, like I'm not taking them out because but like golden nugget, delve, we can't use those words anymore. Dive into, but I put my foot down with M dashes. I'm going to do them. I'm sorry. I hope people don't think this AI, but
all right.
I'm going to do it. So, and we got
You
some
do
great
you.
conversation going on in the chat. Dustin says, Jim, I just wrote 2 blog posts this week about the video clone concept and how bad it is. And Chris says AI avatars are like what clip art was when it first was released back in the day. I think I still have CDs full of clip art. I don't use them, but anyway.
You know what? I want to bring back the paperclip. Do you remember
Clippy,
him?
yeah. I actually
He was
and
helpful.
there one of my first jobs. You could program a Clippy kind of character, and there was a parrot that I programmed for this like the dentist's office that they could have their own little thing that would come up, and it was It was nuts. So,
Oh.
and yeah, Tech Troublemaker says, agreed. I do not want to take the human element out of content creation. No humans, no art, no creativity. Might as well have AI too. Right, exactly. And yeah, Ralph says most of us can detect those video clones. They won't last. It's entertaining, but yeah, the one with babies, that's really popular right now. Dave Jackson talked about it on his Saturday show last week. I didn't know about it till I started watching it, but the baby podcast. Go ahead.
But I will say those are effective because they're using podcast clips that have already gone viral that we already know about. It's now just babies doing it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think like that's the fun thing behind it. Like I know the
Right.
punchline. I'm getting a lot of like comedians podcasts, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
and I'm like, oh, I remember this bit that they did. Now it's just two babies talking and doing it.
Yeah, well, the baby talking to the dog one is what I saw the YouTube
Yeah.
channel. But like Gary, I just saw right before the show, Gary V has one where it's him, on a rant, but it's a baby of him doing it, and it's clever, it's funny. One, it's a baby cursing out of control, but the thing is, it's a gimmick. It's not a long-term strategy, right? I mean, you could do some cool things. It's fun to play with those things. Believe me, I've done a lot of those things. It's kind of cool. I was one of the guys who did the AI action figure that everybody was doing. Yeah. So it's fine, but it's not a strategy. So
it's a trend. It's a Snapchat filter. It's a trending audio on TikTok. It's not going to be around forever. I'll ask you to not speak of Gary Vee any longer on this particular episode because he is sitting courtside at the New York Knicks games, and I am a Celtics fan, and we need to make sure that they continue to win things.
Okay. And then Jim says it's a trust factor. The time takes you to create a video explaining it. Why not just do it? So I think that's true. I mean, I think that's a good point. Unless you're like just cranking them out, you're a factory. But then once again, is that going to be worth it? I do think it's kind of a gimmick. The same thing that what Cassette agrees. So, and this is a good point. And we need to get Roger back on the show again. Roger Wakefield, you don't know him. He was a plumber in Dallas. He actually went to social media marketing world to learn because his company was failing. Turned it around with YouTube. Now he has sold the business and he's like a spokesman for like Lowe's and Home Depot. Amazing guy. Roger Wakefield's awesome. So that's really cool. Chris says this, having historical information at our fingertips that we've forgotten is very powerful. AI triggers all of that. The fastest, most detailed assistant that never sleeps. And he agrees with Connor. Wow, that never happens. But one of the things, so you guys know if you followed me for a while that I had to, at Social Media Marketing World, buy the $200 version of ChatGPT, which is nuts. Like, because I had to get these images created. But you know what? I have kept it this next month. I was going to cancel it. But here's the thing, and here's why. If I could have a paid intern for $200, I'd jump at that chance. And it's basic. So I'm having it do deep research for me every day. Will I keep it forever? I don't know. Go ahead, Connor.
I was going to ask, have you canceled anything? Like, has it fully replaced any other subscriptions where you're like, I'm thinking of canceling this to stick with the $200 ChatGPT?
I haven't, there's ones that I'll always have. I'll always have Magi. I'll probably always have ChatGPT. It's because I have to play with the image models and things. I'll cancel and resubscribe to like Runway. I've done that a couple times. Mm-hmm. I've done the same with Kling. Some of the AI video generation stuff. I don't mess with, I need to get into Adobe Firefly to see how they're doing because of like what Phil mentioned last week. But my stuff is images, and so Midjourney's still the best for me. Even though right now this month we're testing all ChatGPT's images, but I'll probably keep those. But I go back and forth with video creation tools because most of them you have to run them so many times. You can't use a free plan because you were not going to get what you need out of it right away.
So the thumbnail for today's video, was that still in Midjourney?
Yeah. No, that was actually this month has totally been all open AI stuff. So
what's crazy about that is that the style is still so similar to what you've done in Midjourney. Mm-hmm. So it's like, even though you're jumping from one tool to the next, it wouldn't appear that way if you scroll through your posts or your past emails.
It actually, I have kind of once again, a prompt that I have crafted that Abby and I have worked on for a while now, and we kind of know what we want for image generation. The interesting thing about this, Midjourney, you roll a lot. Like, that's one of the cool things is you get, every time you do it, you get like 4 images and you can continue to go down paths. But what I'm finding now with the OpenAI image generation is that it follows your prompt so well. Like for this image that we had today, I did not run it any more than I did. I only did it one time. I uploaded a picture of you. I said, this is Connor. I said, upload a picture of me. This is our title of our show. I want it in this style. And it spat it out. Now, it gets it as close as possible, but then I do a face swap on it for our images. But it was so subtle. Abby and I were going, man, I almost don't need to use it because it got it really, really close. So, and it also takes a lot longer. Like Midjourney, it's like 4 images, and I usually put 7 at a time because I have the pro plan and it sticks them out. But yeah, so it's really great at prompt adherence. So very cool.
That reminds me, a to-do for this week is I got to go out and take some new photos for me so that you can get my long hair.
I know your long hair is a thing. That's I have the other old one. Yeah, I need to update it. So so they liked the drunk tech drummer, like the Drunk Disney podcast idea.
I mean,
that's his After Dark Cinemax series. There we go.
Crazy things can happen even in the theme parks.
Yeah, the 80s band Dad actually stands for Disneyland After Dark, and Disney slapped them with the cease and desist. I didn't know that. That's interesting. Chris is Mr. Music. He knows the whole industry. So, and Dustin says, one of my favorite new things is to have the AI interview me, answer by speaking to it via audio transcription, and then have it use that interview as a content inspiration to plan out for the I guess I think he means week. But he doesn't. Yeah, there he goes. Week. Okay, he didn't we all the way home. And he loves M dashes personally. And yeah, everybody's like coming in. The Baby Sopranos is awesome from Rich Graham. So, and this is a great point by Ralph. It reminds me of the Dancing Baby screensaver. It's a gimmick. Like, it just kind of is. So,
yeah.
And Ralph bought the $200 version as well. He likes it, and it's powerful. It's in his personal way. Yeah. But he also pays for Gemini. So, and he paid for Poe. So he's all in on AI stuff. Okay. What does the face swap? This is a good question. There's a bunch of, you can just Google free tools to find ones. The one I use is Pixai.ai. It's got actually a Photoshop plugin as well that you can use. It is a paid one. It's not free, but it's for me the best one out there because it'll actually face swap on like illustration style images. You don't have to just have a regular photo. So I really, really like it. So
Discord as well still?
No, it's actually web-based. Now Abby still goes into Discord because she likes it. I have the web-based one. That's what I use now. I just think it's way better. There's so many cool things you can do with the web-based one. All right. So, by the way, this show is sponsored by our folks over at Ecamm. You can find out more about ecamm.com/Jeff. And by the way, don't forget about Leap into video coming next week, starting on the 20th. But you can find out more about that at leap.ecamm.com. Look at all these amazing people who are going to be there.
Last episode guests.
I know. We got pretty much all of them. Yeah. So I'm going to have to get some more. Alec was on. I got Tatiana is going to be on. And Phil's, all these people. So this is a great lineup. So you guys want to check it out. It is free. Leap.ecamm.com. All right. We'll talk about content repurposing because we do a lot of this on the show. But I want to start with you, Connor, because I want to know with your new after hours, Disney thing. How do you plan on repurposing this stuff? I know it's kind of a TikTok Reels. I mean, Instagram Reels. Are you going to put them to TikTok? Or are you going to put them to Facebook Reels? I mean, do you have a thought on how you're going to repurpose this content?
Yeah, I put it everywhere. Everywhere that will take short form content. I guess not LinkedIn. I will be posting.
You can do video.
No, I know. I mean, I'm not posting the getting hammered at Disney on my LinkedIn. Yeah, that's if there's a line, that's it for me. But no, I mean, the incredible thing to me is why people don't do that. And I really don't think you can get so much more out of, you know, making something for Instagram versus TikTok. I think your audience is probably pretty similar from one to the other. You might be able to make some tweaks. The one thing I want to know from chat is if they've used uh, uh, edits. It's edits, right? The new Instagram
Oh
app.
yeah, I haven't played with it at all.
So it's basically their CapCut version, right? I want to know if anyone has used that. It seems like, you know, like everything Instagram, if you use that and then post from it, you're going to get a little bit better
Have you
reach.
tried it?
Um, a little bit, and I got a bit overwhelmed, and I said I'm going to go back, and I'm not going to do it right now.
Do you
So
use
I need
Captivate?
I use
CapCut?
CapCut.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, for video that I've created, like in the park, I'll use CapCut. I bought some great. I bought the DJI little mini lapel mics. They're freaking awesome. The reason I bought it because I have a Pocket 3, Osmo Pocket 3, but also it hooks right up to your phone, and there's a little transmitter there. It's awesome.
So I wanted to ask about that because I have the two, which I've thought about
Mhm.
selling and getting a new one. I don't use it that much. Chris Stone uses it for a lot of his Amazon videos and doing like B-roll. And me, I'm like, I mean, for you, you're going to the park, like, but it's another thing to carry. That's my thing. Like, my phone does great video. I love.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the new one is just amazing. The quality out of it. Is it worth carrying that thing around, and why?
I think I like it just because it's so easy to switch from landscape to vertical, right? Like that's the big thing for me. In a matter of half of a second and a button push, I can be recording in one format to the next. Yeah, that's way too slow. That's way
Okay.
too slow.
Okay.
You're
I
not
just was wondering.
you're way too slow.
It doesn't look as
Um,
cool, but yeah.
the you know, the reason for me too though is just the stabilization. Like
Mm.
it's so good. Um and the other things that you can do with it, right? Low lighting, it's pretty awesome. The phones itself, like that's number one. I'll always have that, right? My thing was my phone's basically full, right? Like, and I have to
Right.
start
Right.
figuring out my storage
Right.
and all that, which I'd love to hear, Jeff. What do you do for phone storage if you back up your photos anyway? Those sorts of things. So for me, it's really that's it, right? I want to try to get stuff off of my phone just so that it's not being bogged down by all these random, you know,
Yeah.
videos.
So one of the things I love those lapel mics. I actually have the Shure version of it, the Shure
Yeah.
Move mic, I think is what it's called. But I actually went when I spoke at Social Media Marketing World last month. I actually had my own lapel mic, had my camera there, and filmed myself,
Yeah.
and also had their mic. And so the quality of that is amazing. Having those kind of things, really, really cool. Mostly Disney says, for me, yes, it's better video. I did, but the Ray-Ban Meta glasses, and they're pretty incredible too. I know you have the Ray-Ban as well. That's really cool.
Those are just fun. The Ray-Ban Metas are just fun. Like
Yeah.
that's what it is. It's cool to I've got some great success on posting some stuff from obviously the theme parks. Like that point of view, it's not something that you see all the time, you know? So I really like them and they're just fun. Like I use them to listen to music and walk
Yeah.
around.
There's a lot of people chiming in. Like, yeah, but mostly Disney said the video from the Pocket 3 on the move is noticeably better. And Chris says, Osmo Pocket 3, ease of use, stabilization, 4K video directly to SD card. No worries
Boom.
about getting pinged with your phone or filling up your storage. Can you tie in the Shure lapel mics to your Osmo Pocket 3, or do you have to use the DJI ones, Chris? I'd love to know that. And Kira says, I haven't posted anything with edits yet, but I've jumped into to play with the interface, and I really like it. So many editing options. I'll have to check that out. But one of the questions I want to, before we wrap up, is, you know, what we've talked about how with transcripts, and Connor, you brought up a great point that you're able to now, there's so many things you can do with transcripts. And I wanted to know, like, when you're creating content for your clients, for yourself, for Vacation Kingdoms, what is the criteria that you use to decide what content pieces are worth repurposing?
That's a good question. I think if you can pull something that answers a specific question, right? Like that's how you you pull it out, right? Versus where am I going to create a specific piece of content for short form that's going to be only short form? Like I'm going to go out
Mhm.
and film it and record it and edit it as short form. I think when it's a longer form thing, if it can answer a question in and of itself, sustained, I don't have to add anything to it, then that's kind of when I decide to
Yeah.
repurpose it or decide to edit it a little bit for repurposed content.
So what we everything goes into script for us, and then Abby goes and gets the clips. But a lot of times I'll ask a question or you'll ask a question, and then there'll be a great answer from our guest. That's almost a perfect clip for us to use on the different
Yep.
things. I have really, really liked Descript's the way that you have the clips, so you can generate clips. And now you have these templates you can click with a button and it'll get it all done for you. I mean, it's just really, really fast. I like it better than something like Opus Clips because I think there's a lot of junk, not good clips you get with it. Now, I know they're always getting better. I haven't tested them for a while, so I may be totally wrong. But for Descript, we actually use it for our cold opens for ourselves and for clients. And so what I mean by that, a lot of podcasters will have like a kind of intro where they're taking something from the episode that's really like pertinent or really, really, a good hook. And they'll put that at the beginning, then they'll play the music or whatever. We'll use that to find the cold opens for our podcast and hooks for video because Descript does a really great job with it. They give you 5 options. And if you don't like them, you can just kind of re-roll again and get some more. And so I like, there's, and lately too, I've been taking our old transcripts and saying, act like a professional YouTuber and tell me what shorts are in this, would be good for me to put out there and seeing what that comes out with and testing some of those. So, like you said, Connor, transcripts are probably the most powerful things we have got as content creators for AI, surfacing. So,
So one thing,
go ahead.
go for it. Go for it.
I was just going to say that Chris answered our question. Yes, you have to have a Shure receiver to have it integrate with the Pocket 3. So thanks, Chris.
So one thing that I've been absolutely loving lately is Google's Notebook LM. And I know when it first came out, people really liked it just because of the made up podcast that it created, right? And people are like, this is unbelievable, right? The power in it now is you can essentially create your own chat GPT. So a couple ways that I've been using it. One, I work a day job at a marketing company and I'm moving from one team to the other. I've uploaded all my SOPs, all my documentation, all the projects that I'm currently running, and I created a notebook LM that's called Connor, right? So I upload all of these documents. The cool thing is if you have the pro plan, you can upload 300 sources, and a source can be a Google Doc. It's integrated with your Google Drive, so you just click the Google Doc that you want and it adds it, or you can add in text, or you can add in links. The links have to be on a public page that it can read. If you can't read it, save the page as a PDF and upload it that way as well. It reads all of that, it condenses it, and then you can via a chat ask it questions. So I've sent that to a team. The cool thing about that is I realized, oh man, I do this thing all the time. I need to create an How should I create an SOP? I created a Google Meet of just me in the meet. I hit transcribe this call. I talked through the call as I was doing the thing I was doing, got the transcription, put it in ChatGPT, said create an SOP of that, and then I uploaded both that SOP and the transcription to the Notebook LM. So now it has those two sources of truth for it. What I think is really, really cool is even if you don't have the paid plan, the free one that you just get with, I think, any Google like workspace account, it's 30 sources, right? You can create all these different notebooks based on different things. It's also great if you're onboarding a team member and you're like, these are the things you're going to be in charge of, and it has all the SOPs for it. One thing I want to start doing with it is uploading all of my previous content and asking it, hey, what haven't I done yet? The cool thing, though, is you can take out documents, you can edit Google documents, and it's in real time adjusting the model, adjusting the chat. So you keep one document going that houses all of your content, it'll continue to read off of that and update itself. It's really, really, really powerful.
Yes. I mean, just by taking, it took a little time, but I took all of our transcripts and made them a PDF. So I have like 3 different PDFs of 4 years of whatever, like of our show. Being able to take that up there and say, hey, look at this. What products can I make from this? But also, I just discovered that this week is being able to go to your YouTube channel and have it look at the comments and pull the comments and see what are the most asked questions to build, something out of. And so there's just some really cool stuff that we've never had opportunity before to analyze data for our actual audience that will make a difference. So with those two, Connor, that you said, you did your SOP and you upload those 2 documents. Now that you can ask it questions, what are you going to do that you have those 2 things? Like what questions you're going to ask it, and what's going to be like the final thing you're trying to get from it?
Well, the power is that I'm just going to share that notebook with the team and they can ask it any questions. So it's basically instead of coming to me, they can ask it and be like, hey, how do I do this task that Connor was doing? And it'll regurgitate all the information, put it in a nice package from the different sources. So rather than just going through the 9 Google Docs that I have, right? They're going to get one clear cut answer. That's where I think the power is. I think you can share this to where it's just the chat itself. So you can share the chat with someone else. So you're not sharing the whole workbook with all the documents you're adding to it. So the power in it is basically saying, hey, here's something I've built. You can now use it to about whatever it is.
I know a lot of, like, for example, Guy Kawasaki, who I do his podcast for, and kind of produced that show. He's actually uploaded all his books, all his talks, all his, everything that he's had made content. And there's a Guy GPT. Like, you can go on his website and ask him questions. And if you say like, so who should we elect for the, it'll stick to like his content. It'll say, hey, that's outside my parameters. I know a couple other, like, is it Jim Collins or some other big people who have done some really cool things that way, where you can create your own GPT and ask it questions. So I like it that you can do that on a smaller scale and do it that way. I think that is very, very cool. Yeah. But what else is very, very cool is our fans and our friends that are in the chat today. Kira says, I agree with you on Descripts and Opus Clips. Opus Clips gives me a ton of clips, but most needed editing and weren't great. Yeah, that's why and then if you have to edit inside of Descript, it's really easy because you're already in an editor. So that's why I really kind of prefer Descript on that. But we are at the end of our time. Do you guys like this format? Should we do more? We're thinking maybe once a month we do an AMA, or kind of, it's just Connor and I. Do you like this format? Do you want us to do more of them? And like, no, Jeff, bring us guests back. This is really boring. Let us know in the comments, because I'd really like to know, because once again, this show is all for you guys. We just show up and have fun kicking the ball back into play. But Connor Brown, where can people find out more about the amazing, unsinkable Connor Brown?
Well, don't go to Drunk Disney, because that's not going to bring you to me as much as Jeff wants it to bring it to me. You can head over to vacationkingdoms.com to learn more about what I have going on. Follow me at Vacation Kingdoms, and then my new Instagram channel at Theme Park Happy Hour. Follow along on all of those drunken sojourns, as Jeff thinks that they are.
They're not. They're fun.
I love this. They are fun. I love this format. It was a ton of fun. I always think maybe once a month, once a quarter, something. What have we learned from previous guests that we've put into place, kind of like following up on stuff? So,
oh yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah.
And
Abby goes, I don't want to see you. I want avatars. That was the perfect way to end the show. Thank you guys. And by the way, the people who make this show possible is our friends over at Ecamm, ecamm.com/Jeff. Don't forget about, I'll be speaking next week on Thursday. Repurposing Roadmap will be diving into some things that I use for AI that we kind of dove in a little bit today. You can find out more by going to leap.ecamm.com. It starts on the 20th next week. We'd love to see you there. It's totally free. You just have to go to leap.ecamm.com and sign up. And with that, thank you guys so much. Thank you for watching. We've got people saying, love the format today. Haven't been for a while. Well, we're glad you're back. Conscious Healing and Abigail and Jim and even Gary Stockton. I don't know where he's at. He sounds like he's at like a, I don't know. He says, ahoy, mateys. Maybe he's at, Not Red Lobster. What's the other one? Long John Silver's. That's where he sounds like. That's where he's from. He's eating at a Long John Silver's, which I doubt. Nice. But anyway, thank you guys so much. Thank you, Connor. Don't forget to visit Connor over at Vacation Kingdoms. You can find me at jeffc.com. I'd love for you to sign up for a newsletter, jeffc.com/news. That way you can stay up to date with all the cool things we got going on with this show. And with that, folks, we'll see you guys next time